that put out for grants for Maggie had asked for some help. So you can take a look.
Should we go ahead and need another couple minutes or just go, it's 2 o'clock now, so.
Maybe we should go ahead and start
That's what I'm thinking.
and get the, here they go, here they go.
Oh, okay.
Let's see, you got Maggie time to get in here too. So let's go ahead and get started, if that's all right, everybody. Let's see, is every roll call? Got everybody here? Yeah, we're all good. Good. Thanks for showing up. So the first thing on there is approval of the meeting minutes. Everyone has a copy here, and so I guess we need a motion and a second.
Actually, a comment on that. I did it. Status of funds. We never actually said what our account was, but what I did is I took our previous account and subtracted the 303.90 and came up with that balance. So if that's not correct, maybe we should strike it from the minutes, because that was my own addition.
That's the exact same number that Maggie sent me.
Sorry, our bookkeeper's kind of all over the place, but
2226, is that our current balance?
And one penny.
what?
22.26 and a penny.
Oh, yeah.
Missed it, right? So you're close.
Well, okay, so you want me to leave it in there, or? 'Cause that's
Sure, I
correct?
think so. I think that's okay.
Okay.
So I thought the minutes were very thorough. I always appreciate them. Capture everything.
Make a motion there passed.
Okay, we have a motion that passed. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Oh, is there any more discussion? Do this correctly. So all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Passes. All right. Next, we have on our agenda is Edward Soil and Water Conservation District. Meg, can you?
There's no mic. Is there a mic? There's a mic, you
Oh.
just can't see it.
Okay, so Distaff, Thistle, and Patterson's curse treatment is complete for the year. Thank you, Carrie and Brian. There's gonna be a little bit of funds left, so I just met with Carrie and we're gonna actually try to send out some mailers to some of those areas and see if, you know, there are reports of the Distaff Thistle. It's gonna be focused on the Distaff Thistle in between, and these are areas kind of in the 138-ish area. We had some Oregon conservation crews go and do some treatments at North Bank. Ryan's here. He knows all about it. They were cutting hawthorns out of the fields surrounding some of the popcorn flower that's out there. And then Steph with the BLM was going behind them and herbiciding. We also had some OCC crews go up and help thin and limb around some of the fire lines as well. What else? we're gonna hopefully continue to do that work, depending on the money situation. Put in 4 weeds related grants earlier this month. And thank you for all the support letters from everybody here. One was for oak habitat landowner engagement for weeds treatments. One was 3 were about pump chances, which are fire ponds, and one was landowner engagement to do weed treatment and other maintenance for pump chances. One was survey and maintenance on BLM land specifically, and the last one was partnership collaboration across the county for pump chance maintenance. Cindy is primarily doing agricultural water quality work, but pretty much all of her projects include blackberry treatments in riparian zones. So she's doing a lot of that. And kind of overall, not to be a downer, but the district is kind of struggling financially. So we're doing what we can. Both of our hours are reduced. I think I mentioned that last time. They might be further reduced come winter or January. We'll see what happens. Also, I brought this. I don't know if this looks familiar to anybody. You guys can pass it around if you were interested in trying to do that again. I just noticed that you have your top 10 weeds up there, so if you guys wanted to get a brochure going like that again, I think the Weeds Advisory Board was involved last time. I don't know how old that is. But I don't know if there's conversation about that last meeting to try and get something like that going. But discuss, that's all I got. Do you have any questions? Yep.
You mentioned very briefly about blackberry control and riparian areas.
Yep.
Is that different than in non-riparian areas? I mean, is it the restrictions or something like you can't spray? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I mean, we're primarily using Bassland, which is the water, not water safe. You can use it, it's triclopyr, you can use it up to the water.
Oh, okay.
So that's primarily what we're using down there. That's probably the main difference. I wouldn't say that that's the best herbicide to use, but it is probably for riparian, it's the safest, so that's what we're going with.
All right, I'm just curious on
Yeah.
that.
So
Yeah.
this,
Go ahead.
this is out of print, is that,
Yeah, that's a draft, I found that's a draft, I don't know if Carrie has any more information on that.
I thought they were printed back in the day.
We don't have any, I'm assuming you guys don't have any.
Yeah, I've got one from
You have one?
a long time ago.
Yeah, okay, I didn't know how old it was. It's not the best brochure arrangement.
At one time, this board voted to pay for the printing of that or something like it,
Yeah.
just before the pandemic. We
Okay, so 5 or 6, yeah.
Then everything kind of stopped, so.
Well, yeah, if you guys are interested in trying to get that going again.
Shelby?
I have these. These are for you because these are the Oregon State University Extension Service pamphlet that was recently made, and this one is
Oh, wow.
the noxious weeds. A picture of them and the rating, A or B, and whether they have biological control. So these are available on request,
Cool.
but I'm not sure if it's not the same as your top 10.
It's not the info on it, but this is great though.
Hey Shelby, I got a question for you real quick before I forget. you just mentioned biological control. Was it the tansy, the thing that they had, the cinnabar moths that were eating them? What's that, tansy?
Tansy ragwort is
Yeah.
a weed, and there are 3 biological control agents. And the Oregon Department of Agriculture is has a specialist, a biological specialist that works all of those. So maybe Carrie can address.
Okay, well, my specific
biological.
question was, it was pointed out to me a number of years ago, say 5 years ago or so, that if you saw those, you generally saw those good looking cinnabar moths on them. And that they were imported or brought in to control the, do I have the right weed?
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
okay, well, and the last couple of years, I've been having a few more of those I'm not seeing the moths anymore. I used to always, if I'd see one, there was always a moth on it. It's been a couple of years since I did see one moth the other day, I was kind of pleased, but I'm just curious.
They have a cyclic nature of their populations that go up and down with conditions,
The moths do.
different conditions. All the biological control agents have these population cycles, and they're offset from their host, the weeds. So they're, I don't know which one's the leader and which one's the lagger, but they're offset because when there's lots of yummy weeds to eat, then the biocontrol agents the next year have a really good population unless the weather or other circumstances cause them to crash. And so we always see this cycle that's offset from lots of weeds, lots of bugs. But the ODA people assure me that there are plenty out there. They're not doing any more releases. And if you think you want more on your site, you can go catch them from another site.
Well, I just,
You can, you take nets out there
I
and
guess I'll speak up too. I always gauge my years. Carrie Perosco, Oregon Department of Agriculture. I'm the noxious weed specialist for Southwest Oregon.
okay,
And we have a specialist, a biocontrol specialist, and there's classical biocontrol. Classical biocontrol is where researchers are sent to where the plant is native to, so in this case, Europe.
okay.
They find out what's naturally eating on the plant in its home range, and then lots of testing. There's a very rigorous process that is screened through classical biocontrol before they get approval to be released here. This is actually tansy ragwort, and the biocontrol agents were one of the things that started our noxious weed program at Oregon Department of Agriculture. Because back in the day, I'm sure grandparents, I don't know, as boys, I don't know if you guys remember, maybe you were tasked with helping kill tansy ragwort, collect it. But it started our program, and it's been a very successful program over the years. And it's that boom bust cycle, and sometimes it gets out of whack.
Okay.
That you get more agents, and that's when I get very few calls in the season. Biocontrol is just booming. And then I get lots of calls in the seasons where there's more weeds and less agents. You mentioned the cinnabar moth, and the
Is that the correct name?
and the caterpillars. They're very showy, and you can't see them.
Yeah, they're good looking.
But the ones that aren't good looking and the ones you don't see are little flea beetles, and they're golden color, and they hop like if they're a flea. They hop like a flea, and you see them mostly in the fall, and they're attacking those tender, young, new, what we call rosette, the new leaf form stage of the tansy ragwort. So on a cloudy day in October, you can go out and you can just see them all hopping around. And they're the ones that do most of the damage to tansy ragwort, even though they're not showy. They're kind of fun, but they cause all those shot holes in the leaves that you see on the tansy. I did recently get a call, Shelby transferred someone over to me out towards the coast, not right on the coast, that's been really struggling over a 10-year period with tansy. Folks on the coast have it harder. The biocontrol don't work as well depending on where they are on the coast. We don't know exactly why, if it's a marine layer or if it's wind, or we're not sure exactly why. But this landowner I'm gonna visit in the fall because he's just really frustrated. And we have a new biocontrol specialist that's coming on board. We're hoping to announce that person in the next coming weeks. Of who that specialist is, and I will introduce them to our tansy ragwort and drag them to this property owner and just try to figure out what's going on with this property owner and their tansy ragwort. So that's probably way bigger of an answer than what you were looking for.
Well, no, it'd been pointed out to me, and there's probably 1,000,000 or 1,000 biocontrol I'm not aware of, but my one neighbor pointed it out to me. And so every time I would see that, I would see the moths, but all of a sudden, the last year or two, I haven't seen any. And I was just curious.
Yeah, and sometimes they're there and it's just when we're out, we don't see them. They have different parts of their life cycle they're in. But yeah, some years you'll see fewer, some years you'll see more.
Yeah, I could say that. There's a ranch that we manage out in Lakeside. And it's a bottom ground, like 10-mile lakes.
Yeah.
And I've been watching the tansy for 30 years. And you see that cycle. You see the tansy start to come up. And then all of a sudden it just plummets down to nothing in about a year. And I've started to see that wrapping up in the last couple of years. And I was just out there a couple of weeks ago. And you hit the tansy and these moths just go.
Oh.
So they're out there and I'm telling the leasee of the ground, he wanted us to spray the tansy.
Mhm.
And I said, I'm seeing cinnabar moths everywhere. So I can almost guarantee that you're gonna have a huge reduction next year.
Well, they did a pretty good, I don't have a whole lot of it anymore, so maybe that's why,
Well, what I had been told, and I could see it, is that especially where you've got bottom ground, if it's on pasture ground which floods and gets really wet, they overwinter in the wet ground, and so if you're like in a floodplain, it floods and it kills them off. So they have to have some kind of an upland reserve. So if your tansy is only in a floodplain area, you probably have to start a whole new cycle every other year.
Oh, okay.
So that's kind of my observation.
I was always told that Lynn Cannon, who was my old boss in Coos County, he was the extension agent there for years. I actually went to California with a couple of guys from the Powers Ranch, flew down and they brought back, I think it was a flea beetle, and turned it loose in Coos and Curry counties. This would have been back in the 70s, I believe, late 70s. Some of the ranches there, Mint Ranch was a big ranch down on Sixes River, they were just overwhelmed by tansy. And that kind of started getting it around. That's the story I heard, so. Okay, thanks.
So we were still in the middle of Maggie's presentation.
I was done unless you guys had questions, I could come back.
Did you change your hair to match your clothes or vice versa?
Yes.
Oh.
So our speaker that was gonna be here, Bradley Stokes, he's the district conservationist for the Natural Resources Conservation Service District, was not able to come today. He was tied up at work. So we have an opening and we've got two folks. Ryan has agreed to talk a little bit about the BLM's program, if you would, please.
Yeah.
And then Eric, I was asked maybe a few minutes,
Yeah.
5 minutes or so later, talk about your program.
Yeah, so just kind of some general updates on the work we've been doing this year. Guess one thing I'll mention first is started off a little rough, but we kind of picked things up, especially with our couple contracts in our burn areas, our ESNR, Emergency Stabilization and Rehabilitation, which are our Archie Creek Fire and the Tyee Fire Complex areas. Get specific funding for that work, so that's been a big focus this year. We were able to hire one weeds crew under our ACE internship. We lost one of our term employees this spring, but she's been getting up to speed really quick on things, and then we've been doing fair amount of work in-house between her, our roads crew, myself, and some of our botanists. And she just received her public pesticide applicator license, passed that test last week. So a lot of work in the Rock Creek area, kind of some guesstimations here, but just based on these contracts, we're looking at 30+ miles that were completed in Archie, mainly that Rock Creek area, Rock Creek roads, and then the Tyee Complex area. In addition to that, probably about 40 acres in Rock Creek. Really trying to get those campgrounds, especially those that aren't opened up yet, before we get the public in there, get them opened back up, try to get those weeds under control. We got Both, let's see, Mill Pond and Rock Creek treated last year, again this year, and kind of getting some native seed down to try to compete with that. There's also a wetland riparian restoration area that's kind of, I think it's right on top of the old Mill Pond, that Mill Pond Recreation Area or campground got its name from. That's probably about 10-15 acres there, so yeah, 40 acres approximately in Rock Creek. Did a project in just off of Annabelle Road. Let's see, that finished up about 3 weeks ago. We worked with a couple of the neighboring landowners there and basically we're able to treat right up to the property line. Typically, we don't do that. Our policy is to keep a 10-foot buffer, but if we get permission, we'll treat up right to that boundary. So yeah, got both sides of the road there, most of that BLM land between the couple property owners that are there, just off of Rock Creek, and then the other side is Bosco Logging, I think is the name of it, Bosco or Basco. Let's see, what else have I got here? Good news, we received our DOI approval. We need DOI approval now for anything, any procurement actions over $50,000. We got that for the CWMA, $163,000 there, between $100,000 Pacific Corps Mitigation Fund and then $63,000 to fund the Good Neighbor Authority agreement that we've got with the Soane Water Conservation District. So really excited about that work. That $100,000 will be for North Bank weeds treatments, and then the $63,000 to help fund Maggie's position and get a number of acres of project work done. Let's see, on top of that, we got the mastication done. Maggie kind of mentioned that in North Bank there. That was in prep for prescribed burning. We didn't meet our objectives this spring. That didn't happen. Fortunately, we're looking at it again this fall and next spring. One thing we'll do with that is try to get back in there this fall or next spring, depending on how it goes, and spray those areas that were masticated this summer. If we don't do that, it's basically just gonna grow right back like grass. A couple other spots, we got some miles treated up Yellow Creek. We have some planned timber sales coming up there, and then that Osprey boat ramp. I think our contractor got to that yesterday, and then that Osprey Road. I think that goes up to Roseburg Resources there. And then several of our recreation areas, most of those we tried to get early spring, but we just got the Swiftwater Day Use area, did some Scotch berm treatments in there, general spray treatments, and then about that first mile of the North Umpqua Trail. Let's see, Baker Wayside, that was one we did in the spring along with the E-Mile Recreation Area Day Use area, and then Island Creek Day Use area down on the Cow Creek Road. And then let's see, a couple other just general areas. We did about a mile and a half of work on Slide Creek Road down by Myrtle Creek. I think we got a good mile or so done on the Lone Rock Road. And then we just finished up a one-day project for Kincaid's lupin habitat down off of Stouts Creek. That's working with the Institute for Applied Ecology. Kind of tried to provide some disturbance, set those areas back, and get some of that lupin to come in. Last year they did treatments there, and we had basically one big huge blackberry patch had a little bit of lupin growing in it. They sprayed it last fall, and this year that was basically replaced by a big Kincaid's lupin plant, which is a endangered plant, one of our two here in Douglas County, that and the popcorn flower. But yeah, we have this big Kincaid's lupin plant. It's real pretty, probably 5 feet tall and 10 to 15 feet across. And then for fall work,
Where is that again? I'm sorry.
Stouts Creek,
Okay,
let's see, just past Days Creek and before the Milo Academy, there's a Stouts Creek Road there that goes up south of there.
Right.
Kind of neighboring to
crosses the
Chinook
bridge
Forestry.
there. Yes.
Yep. Yeah, and then fall work is gonna kind of be continuing some of the ESNR stuff. Kind of looking at blackberry where we don't have to worry as much about the other plants there. Stuff will start to senesce. We can just focus on that blackberry. should be pretty effective to do that late fall. And then we've also got some work planned for the Pacific Core right of way within the Archie Creek fire area. Probably 30 or so acres there to do brush treatments, and basically a cut and spray or hack and squirt on Scotch Brim in that area. That's kind of everything I have in my notes here. Any questions from the board?
I have a question. I know Steve and I have been talking about the brooms that are popping up around Archie Creek and
The Spanish broom there at the Narrows.
yes, Narrows. What kind of
Mhm.
broom are you seeing in there?
You know, I'm not sure if it's, I haven't looked at it really closely in that Swiftwater Days area. I kind of assumed it was Scotch brim, but I'm thinking it might be Spanish brim.
We know we've seen Spanish broom, and I was wondering about French broom maybe as well.
Yeah,
Right there at the Narrows, there's all three.
That's what I thought,
Right next to
all
each
three,
other, I
right?
took separate pictures of each one of them.
Okay, that's what I
At
thought.
different timings, because they bloom at different times,
Mhm.
and they're all right there, right next to each other.
And George Severson called me, he was coming over from his home to do some spray work over here and he
yeah,
wanted, did he call you?
yep.
Okay.
So who does, I looked it up on our landowner, and that area below the road doesn't come up as a landowner or a right of way or easement, no, who knows who owns that?
I might be able to
Who's
figure that out.
responsible for that? We need to put a little pressure on that and maybe get some.
And several
Help to
years
do
ago,
that.
Chrissy Morgan had a crew working through there.
Mhm.
And she was saying she had to pull them off the cliffs above the road because it was too
You see
dangerous.
the highway department, the right of way department did some spraying.
Yeah.
But it's all the way down to the water and it's going up the hill
It's moved.
onto the neighbor up there.
Yeah, we could look at that too and kind of expand from our Swiftwater Days area treatments.
And we don't want to get that thing going if we can help it. Spanish broom on top of all the other brooms.
Yep.
Okay. Great. I think it's great what you're doing. I really
Thanks,
do.
yeah.
You're treating a lot of acres and road miles and that's what
Yep,
the county needs.
It's been fun to
That's
have
my
that ability to
2
do all
cents
that work
worth.
through contracts and partnerships.
Ryan, I had a question, what weeds are you guys finding in the fire areas that you're treating?
A little bit of everything, but kind of the usual suspects, a lot of blackberry and brooms, thistle, some knapweed. Yeah, both thistle, Canada thistle.
Meadow knapweed.
Yeah, oh yeah.
The constant, how about skeleton weed?
Haven't run into a lot of that in the fire areas. We have more of that kind of on the south end of the district.
Any surprises? Any weeds that you didn't used to have in there that you brought in?
No, really.
So, is it fireweed or is it purple looster that's along a lot? Tioga.
It's
just
fireweed.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
haven't seen it for some in
Yeah.
there, but
So that's not a problem, fireweed, it's not.
thanks.
Thank you. Alright,
Hello, I don't have any notes prepared, I just wanted to come say hi. I've heard a lot about you guys from Tracy and Maggie and working in the realm of weeds, and I'm wearing 2 hats. I coordinate the local Oregon Conservation Corps, so I work with youth ages 16 to 26 and we work on a broad spectrum of conservation projects. Public, private, tribal lands, kind of all lands approach. We also recently, I guess the other hat I'm wearing is the Umpqua Oak Partnership liaison this year, and recently you guys have signed an approval to be official partner with us, so thank you guys for doing that. I've seen a handful of you guys out there on the ground on some of these tours. Mostly that's what we've got going lately. We just finished our strategic plan. I think Steve might have mentioned that was kind of part of that last request to confirm if you'd like to be a partner on a list of about 30 local groups that are all collaborating around oak conservation, and weeds is a really big priority. We're doing a lot of cross-boundary work, a lot through Maggie's efforts with the CWMA as well. We just submitted a grant. Did you already mention this? I'm sorry, I got in a little late. Yep. And then we're trying to scale up landowner engagement too, to get like a pipeline of folks in strategic areas that would like to do a lot more cross-boundary coordination to really maximize our efforts. But yeah, we just wrapped up our summer field season. We had a botany crew working on weeds, mostly on Forest Service and BLM sites. We're heading into this fall. We're have another botany crew that will be doing some projects a lot with BLM and Maggie. We do work with Tracy as well on some county sites. Yeah, sorry, I don't have notes. I just kind of shotgun some stuff out at you guys, but just really have heard a lot about what you guys are doing, and I'm grateful and wanted to come see how these meetings go. But yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any questions or comments,
I
Ken?
have a comment, and I'm not throwing this at you guys, Ryan or Carrie or whoever. So in early June, my wife and I were gonna go camping over my sister's, and we usually don't go that early, but driving up the McKenzie, started seeing a bunch of broom type stuff coming, and I don't know, I mean, that's not our area or your area, but do you have counterparts, do they have a weed board that we can say, hey, is somebody doing something about this before it takes off? It's just a food for thought. Because it looks like, it was just, I was surprised how much I'd seen. I hadn't seen it there before, because we go over there every year. And, this is gonna be a potential problem. There was one of them on the islands, and there's an island in the river, and it was all over that.
That's Lane County.
That's Lane County, yeah, up the McKenzie River, so just something to ask your counterparts, who's looking at this, are they looking at it? We're proactive here, but is somebody else, you have a different community there too.
To my knowledge, they don't have a weed board.
Nothing I've heard of.
I do have a counterpart there.
Okay,
And
it's an ask.
McKinsey, I know there's a lot of Forest Service ground through there. I believe they have active programs. Invasive noxious weeds. Is it associated with the fire at all?
Yeah, it was right through the fire area, which
I
is,
know they did receive similar to here, they call it BEAR funding, for post-fire survey and treatments. I don't know for certain that they're targeting what you're saying, that funding, but I would be surprised if they weren't.
Yeah, so the Forest Service BEAR funding is only good for 3 years, ours is 5 years, so we're in the last year for Archie Creek. That Holiday Farm was the same year, so they wouldn't have those funds for the last 2 years.
So you're seeing it
basically in the
live
fire
along the
area.
river, the McKinsey
Yeah.
River? Okay. I'll chat with my colleague and
And that's fine.
just ask him. Yeah.
Just another impression of that, it seemed like up in McKenzie, the fire went down both sides of the river, where up here, it seemed like it was more one side or down the road the other side, but it was just like it took both sides.
Another avenue, I mean, obviously I'll do the one-on-one reporting, but anyone is welcome. I get almost weekly, I get reports through our basic hotline,
Sure.
online reporting, where you can actually call. We have a phone number you can call. And like I had someone just this morning, over on the coast say, hey, this picnic ground at the state park, why aren't they killing this ground cover thorny thing? Okay, let's get, so anyways, there is a way to interact with staff when you see something new, especially in a burn area, and just say, hey, what's going on? And each county with that reporting system has people tagged to get back to the questions in that invasive hotline.
Yeah.
If someone calls in, and they'll funnel it to, I'll get the calls funneled from Salem. So there are mechanisms when a citizen less educated than you are on the noxious weed front, or even someone, you can go in and get an answer if you see something.
Good point, okay.
So Shelby and Carrie, would you wanna say anything right now, make any type of a report?
I'd be happy to, Shelby, go forth.
Shelby Philly with Oregon State University Extension Service. The OSU Pesticide Education Safety Program has a weed management course for, that's gonna have pesticide credits for it. It's October 9th. So Jeff, our front office guy, made a few of these, I don't know how many there are, but and so it's a 6 credit course, $132. So it's focused at people with pesticide licenses. So Logan Bennett, our small farms master gardener coordinator, and I, livestock and forages, are giving presentations in this, but we're gonna try to tape ourselves so we can share it with just online, like on our website or something. So people who don't want credits but still wanna know the information can get it, because we know that this high ticket price doesn't work very well with people who don't have a business working on the weeds, so. You know what? Yeah, that's right, Carrie's talking too. Yeah, it doesn't say who all is talking, but yeah, we're on it. But so that's October 9th, and then November 19th, I'm gonna be participating in an online webinar thing on aquatic weeds. So I'm gonna tape that and put it online for our citizens as well, because that's another high dollar program that's focused at working at getting people their pesticide credits. I don't wanna undercut or speak badly about these high prices, because it actually runs this pesticide safety education program. Without the high prices, we wouldn't have this program, so. But I just wanted to let you know that we're gonna have this in person, but I'll also try to get the presentations taped so that we can share it more broadly too. So it wouldn't be 4 credits, but anyway, that's what I wanna do.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is something we could get on our website sooner than later. Is it something we wanna promote?
We can try.
It's
Possibly are.
yeah, right now it's on the Oregon State University Douglas County Extension website, so you can link to that or find that on our website and then get that put in there. But all of the pesticide safety education program send emails to people who have licenses with the Oregon Department of Ag. So that's covered, but
When would that have come out?
oh, I don't know, but I haven't actually seen my
Seen
email
anything
lately. But this is October 8th, so or 9th, so we still have over a month and a half or a month and a week. But they usually do send emails out to licensed pesticide holders. And then I share it with my folks, and it goes out through our OSU extension electronic newsletter to our everybody on our list. So it gets out. I'm gonna be talking about buttercups and meadow knapweed and grassy weeds.
All right, thank you.
Carrie Carrasco, Oregon Department of Agriculture's Noxious Weed Program. And I'll shadow a little bit of Maggie. Maggie gave a really brief mention of our woolly distaff and our Patterson's Curse program, longstanding programs in the county. Patterson's Curse is located in Dillard, behind the Roseburg Forest Products plant where we had our blackberry tour, anyone that went on the blackberry tour. And then the neighboring ranch, the K-Bar Ranch, Cow Creek tribe property. We only found 6 plants this year, so it's pretty phenomenal. This is our 21st year of that program. If you went on the blackberry tour, you saw that they were doing a lot of work back there with fuels reduction. So a lot of fire, a lot of equipment was in there. Next year will be our test, because when you disturb ground, what likes disturbed ground? Weeds. So we'll find out how much remaining Patterson's Curse seed we have. I'm anticipating we'll have some big flushes, but we'll see. It'll be a true test. We'll get out there a little earlier than usual and do some scouting before we get in and treat if we do in fact have some big flushes that come from all that disturbed ground. It's been great working with both the tribe and with Roseburg Forest Products. They've been really cooperative with that ongoing project. Just for context, the only other Patterson's curse that we have in the state, we have a small population in Lane County and then, in Lynn County, and then a couple new patches have been found, rather small though, in Lynn County. So that's all we have in the state. So that's why it's A-rated and that's where we're targeting them for eradication. And distaff thistle, woolly distaff thistle, the crew came on beginning of June and worked 2 straight months, so ended in just a couple weeks ago, the end of July. And it was a very successful season, and I would say the biggest thing to report was the collaboration we had with Brian and his crew. He offered up a match for Lone Rock through the Soil and Water Conservation District, offered up $10,000 as a match, which was huge. At one of the board meetings sometime last year, I said, Brian, we need help because out in that area we're seeing expansion of woolly distaff thistle range. And so Brian's crew was great, joined forces with my crew, and we had 3 solid days with the crews working together across several properties. So it was really successful. Really made a huge difference having those guys out there. So thank you.
It sounds like since the majority of the distaff thistle was on Lone Rock, it made sense for us to cooperate.
It worked out great. It really
Got done
worked
what
out
you
great.
needed to do and
So we're hoping that continues, that relationship would continue. Distaff thistle, like any of them, they're kind of like, some years you have a boom and then others you're like, where'd it go? It's just those seed, and when they germinate, they don't germinate it all at once. They give a little at a time, and some they give a lot at a time. But yeah, so that program is still going strong. And then the other A-rated noxious weed that we work on in Douglas County is an aquatic weed. It's called yellow floating heart. And yellow floating heart has been eradicated from several locations here in Douglas County. The 2 private ponds that we have are out towards Kellogg, going towards Elkton, and I've been working on those 10 plus years on 2 of them, and one, this is year 2 with no plants. So I'm hoping we have to go 5 years before we declare something eradicated with seeing nothing. So I'm really, they're little stock ponds is what they're in. And so out that way, and the other 2 water bodies that we have are up on the Umpqua Forest. Willow Sump, if you're familiar, if you fish up there, or Forester up there, and then another one out of Steamboat called Beaver Pond. And I'd say we're 99% there with one of the water bodies and 75% there with the other one. It was found later. Thankfully, fire season has not closed us out this year. I have to get special permission to go up to treat to get through the fire closures and things like that. But so yellow floating heart, we're making progress, hoping in 3 years we can declare one more pond in Douglas eradicated. This fall, I'll be speaking at both of the OSU Extension seminars, the one here locally in person in Roseburg, and then the online aquatics webinar as well. So yeah, just plugging in with those outreach events. I don't know that I gave an update. I wasn't able to attend your last meeting. The Glide Wildflower Show in late April was very successful. The CWMA, the Cooperative Weed Management Area Group that Maggie leads for us, and we had volunteers from our group do a really great job at the noxious weed booth. They set up a tent for us outside the main building for the show, and it's been a good partnership. So that's my report.
Thank you.
I got 2. Are you based out of Roseburg or Salem?
I am based out of Grants Pass.
Oh, okay, cause I didn't know there was a Department of Agriculture office in Roseburg. There's not one in this county.
Nope. I work with 5 counties and Douglas is one of them. I work over on the coast, Coos and Curry and Jackson and Josephine, and I'm based out of my house in Grants Pass.
Okay, and that other question is the stock ponds out in, it's not Darrell Ray's place, is it?
No.
Oh, okay, cause my stepson's out there working for him right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I was gonna say if you needed some eyes out there,
We should get you a brochure of what it looks like that you could pass along.
I have some in my office.
Okay.
And I have maybe one in my truck, but yeah, we'd love more eyes out there. Basically what I tell people with that aquatic, it is a floating lily. It's rooted down to the bottom of the water body. It has heart-shaped leaves, which is pretty unique, plus a yellow flower. And it flowers now through the fall.
I just know he was doing some stock pond work for him last week, and that's why I was kinda curious.
Yeah, we need more eyes out there for these, because sometimes we don't know how they get there. I have no idea how they got out there, other than sometimes people think they're pretty, and then they share plants, and sometimes people think they're good for water quality, sometimes people introduce them, they think it'll make better fish habitat, things like that.
Carrie, do you have information you could email, maybe email it to Steve and we can share it with the whole group?
Yeah, absolutely, on yellow floating heart in specific.
Yeah, I mean, you might throw in distaff, thistle and Patterson curse as well.
Yeah, and I should mention too, Maggie mentioned it, we are gonna be doing I haven't done this in a while, and I'm like, I kinda don't wanna know, but we need to know if there's more distaff thistle out there. So Maggie is heading up, we're gonna tag team, but she's gonna do the lion's share here locally of getting a letter out to some suspect properties adjacent to where we know we have distaff thistle. We have a new site out towards Newton Creek. So it's kind of neighbors to that. And then we have some historic sites that I visited, but I really want to get a letter out saying, hey, have you seen this? I've been told they were eradicated, but we want to. So doing a kind of big outreach this fall for trying to see if we have any other woolly distaff thistle out there that we don't know about. I'm sure we do, it's just a matter of finding it. Yeah, and if any of you know the Sandbergs, Lee or Cody, they are my distaff thistle whisperers. They branch a lot all over, and they call me up and say, Carrie, I think I saw it here, and sure enough, yep, that's where we have it. So all the new sites that we've had in the last several years have been from the Sandbergs.
Oh.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we need to get our computer going again here.
Wiggle the mouse maybe.
He said you had to put in the code,
Oh, we did.
let him know when he would come in. Oh, he heard us. I'll probably get lost here. So, Tamara Howell, really appreciate the work she's done. She's updated our website. And if you look over on let's see here. We got all these different areas, but one of the things I'm really excited that she did, and this is a start. You guys, if you see something you think we could do differently, Tamara asked that we look at it, but here on the BlackBerry, you can click on it and suddenly we didn't have this before. You've got information and treatments from OSU. We've tried to put in things, so at least we have that, and that'll get people looking at things. I just wanted to show a couple of these so you can see what's going on. Wait a minute, where's the yellow one? I asked her to do this, and I hope you're okay with this, but I think this was an article pulled out of the News Review recently on poison oak. So, you know, it's a noxious weed for a lot of us. Some people it doesn't bother, but I know I had a son that was in the hospital once.
I would just make a small correction. It's an obnoxious, not
Okay,
noxious.
all right,
Noxious
all right.
is a legal term in statute,
Okay.
but it certainly is obnoxious if you do get the allergy.
We updated local agency contacts. So some of you are on here. I hope most of you are on it. Ryan's there. And maybe we want to add Umpqua Oaks partnership to this too at some point in time. Yeah. Okay. And then I'm missing one thing I wanted to show. Let's go back. See, I'm gonna do this. Okay, I went off, I didn't mean to go off of it, but we're off. On the first page of it, it shows our, she made a summary of the tours and such that we've had. And then we could add like your stuff, your meeting coming up onto that page. Oh, anyway. So it's still, I think, a work in progress, but I'm thinking it's more helpful than what it used to be.
Feel it.
Yeah, I think Tamara's done a great job. I'm sure it took her a lot of time to go online and pull up those articles and read them and look at them to add to each of those things. That's not her normal job. And she's all by herself. She stays very busy from what I can tell. So a couple of other things here. Tracy and I met with Commissioner Kress here last week. And I thought it was a good meeting, a very positive meeting about the weed board. And before we went in, I sat down and tried to put together a status of invasive noxious weeds in Douglas County, Oregon. And it's kind of my view of what was going on, but I've heard from all the guys since then, and I've gotten some comments, and Carrie gave me some good comments last night, and I appreciate that. So I'm gonna make a few little changes to it. Some of you haven't seen this. I've got copies here if you wanna look at it. So I think I'll just kind of leave it at that at this point in time, unless you guys.
Is that the attachment that you sent out in the email?
Right.
Okay, that was that, I thought it was, well, did you write that, did you use that AI stuff?
I wrote it.
Okay.
I don't know how to use the AI stuff very well.
There's some big words in there.
Steve, there was one thing I wanted to add that I didn't give on a message. I know we were playing phone tag yesterday. It has to do with, and I've seen this over my 30-year career, Shelby's seen it too, is the weed season, the noxious weed season used to be, you started this month on this day, and then you ended on this month and this day. It was so predictable, right? What I've been seeing is it goes clear through November, milder falls, the winters comes in later. So that impacts, we gotta get out there and treat longer. We can't just get out there with it changes our cycle and how we treat and approach noxious weeds. So if you look at blackberry, you look at hawthorn, they are benefiting from some of our erratic storms too, heat bombs and ice storms, and we have these erratic events, but the season is now longer. Winter used to kind of shut us off and the plants would start to go dormant. But now you have a cranking carbon, you have them cranking, and some of them have more flowering, more seed production, and they're starting to document how, like Canada, other ones are responding to these longer windows to grow and produce.
That's a good way to put it. I appreciate it.
So that could be another factor. Obviously, I said on my message, not being able to burn,
And you made the same comment that Jerry told me about the sheep, reduction in sheep
yeah.
numbers. So.
Switching grazing, who's grazing out there made a huge difference with Tansy ragwort is a perfect example.
And so I'll add some of that to this and send it back out again.
And as we learned on the blackberry tour, more goats, right? That's what we need.
Rex has the secret right there.
Those are some pretty cool before and after photos. I haven't seen some of that.
Okay.
So, some of the annual plants, weeds are almost short-lived perennials because of the open winters and
We're
such,
seeing
so-
shifts, we're seeing definite shifts, and then with certain species, they call them sleeper weeds, like they're kind of, not that blackberry ever lays low.
Yeah.
But they start to expand their ranges, where you thought, we always kind of put these parameters, it won't get beyond this elevation, or it won't come from California to Oregon, but we're seeing shifts in what we used to say, oh no, it wouldn't do that. So the longer seasons is impacting.
Just something that's kind of on the blackberry. Got friends over in the Culver area. You don't see it up in the level above, but get down in the Crooked River and there's Himalaya blackberries down in Crooked River in the gorge.
And East Side, they used to think, oh no, we won't have a problem,
Right.
and yeah, it's changing.
Cause I before we went in to talk to the commissioner, I printed out part of the state report on blackberries and where the cost and all of this stuff, but it had a map and it said, and on that map that they didn't think it would expand in the east side, so that's changed since 2015 or so.
Something my East Side partners are watching.
Okay.
And it also impacts, the herbicides we use. It can grow, you have another flush of a weed, gotta get in there. It also impacts biocontrol, the timing, that it, can shift of when a biocontrol used to be in the right part of its cycle to attack the plant, and that shifts. So if they don't shift together, it has a lot of different impacts that I'm seeing. I don't have the proof, but I'm seeing it. And I know landowners I work with are seeing it too.
Alright.
And we can't put our finger on it. We know we're seeing it.
Related to that, you had a report that you shared, it might be the one that Steve's talking about, that talks about the cost and our most costly weeds to control, and it seems like that's getting a little outdated. Do we have new information on?
No, 2 reports have been put out on it. It's an economic analysis. Not every noxious weed, but a subset of them. That one's probably over 10 years old now, and the previous one was 10 years before that. I haven't heard anything from Salem that there's any funds to do that. It was done in collaboration with University of Oregon, their ag economists. So a lot of effort went in and that person has since retired. But I'll ask Tracy.
I think it would be helpful in these grant applications, kind of show where we need, for any of us that just to be able to refer to that.
I'm amazed at the cost of treating weeds now compared to when I retired 13 years ago. And it's gone up a lot, I think, for everything. Equipment rates, herbicides are more. So labor is way more from what I can get. So that cuts down on the number of acres you can do with your budget, and if you can't get your budget. Okay, let's just, one other thing, I put together a short contractor list that I sent to Maggie. And I think, I wasn't pleased with that, what I had. I was hoping maybe to talk with you sometime and get with some other folks and see if we can do a little bit more there. I don't know if do you have that on your website, that contractor list?
No, I have to get board approval to see if we want to put that there, that's
Yeah,
okay.
no, I agree, I understand. We've talked about putting it on our website, but I don't know that we wanna do that too, so.
Are you talking mechanical contractors that kind of do that mechanical and then ones that do the herbicide?
Yeah, the herbicide work. I talked to the office of a herbicide applicator on the coast that everybody likes to work with, and she wasn't sure they wanted to do that too, that they wanted that out there. So,
The Gorse Action Group on the coast, love our acronym, it's called GAG. We have a contractors list that we keep
Okay.
updated.
is that on the online, you think?
It's online. We had an issue over the years of we'd get a stinker, one that kind of wasn't doing the work the right way. But we can't show preference for one business over another, so the way we solved that was we put together a module that they have to take a training. They have to attend an in-person training class about noxious weed management, or they have to take our online module. It's an online training course, and if they take that, then they can remain on our list. And it has best management practices about cleaning equipment. It has what herbicides are best for gorse, what practices are best for gorse. So that's how we got around trying to get some businesses that aren't reputable.
Right.
We couldn't do that
Okay. All right.
and definitely get Brian to look at your list because he works with some great.
Yeah, that's a good idea to get some kind of a screening process ahead of
Maybe
time,
they
so
would
that
have
you're
to-
not recommending.
Maybe they'd have to attend one of the OSU in-person classes, and if they showed that they did that, then they could be included on the list. Just something like that.
Okay. Can you just put a disclaimer on and say that these are people that say that they do this work? and protect your group that way.
I
That's,
think we did have a disclaimer, it was more of, it was more that the contractor was kinda taking the money and not doing the job that they should be doing, and we didn't want the reputation as a group of promoting that business. But we couldn't favor one business over another.
okay. All right. So, that's all I have. Oh, no, it isn't. Tree of Heaven. We were gonna talk about that briefly.
Yeah, Stephen mentioned that. We was on a phone conversation the other day and see, I didn't even know what Tree of Heaven was till Tracy enlightened me last year or 2 years ago. So I am seeing more and more, and I was kinda taken aback this morning. Our neighbor, he has a house that's south and west windows, it's all windows, and he has Tree of Heaven that grows up in a bushy fashion, and he cuts it down every fall, but that shades keeps the sun from coming in and heating the house up, so he just lets them go. So they're cut off at ground level in the fall, and I was over there this morning, went by his house, and his eave is probably 10 feet tall, and these things are this much taller than the eave. I mean, they grew 12 foot in 6 months, the growing period. And we're seeing it in more places between Canyonville and Days Creek. It's kind of a hot spot along the highway. And then one spot I mentioned to Steve that I saw last year, I went to a wedding, and I don't remember the name of the park over here on K-Bar's place off Clark's Branch. But I walked over by the river after the wedding and was looking around, thought, wow, we're in trouble here. Because it's in the floodplain, high water comes up, I don't know where that stuff from here to Reedsport. So, yeah, I was really amazed at how prolific this stuff is right now and the ground that it's gaining. You know, we don't have any on our personal property where we manage for this and that and everything, but we have it just around the corner on the highway from us, and down that way it's there too, so I don't know how to combat that. You guys have a better idea than I do, of course, but.
So I wonder, Gary, do you mind stepping up again? Because I think that we did do some iNaturalist or type reporting, and I wonder if you could give us an update on what we found as far as survey. And I had some thoughts about maybe there could be some grant funding available to do some monitoring, like maybe Eric's World, to see how much is out there, because I can tell you, years ago, I did put in a request, and Carrie knows this, when I was working for the city of Roseburg to do treatment within the city, and I think it went over okay, but they were concerned because they didn't have enough data on how much was out there and how bad it was, and I was working within city limits, so I couldn't really report on anything outside of that. And since that time, it's just really gotten a whole lot worse. But I feel like that was the kind of data they wanted back then, was where is it, how bad is it? And I don't know whether we have enough data yet to.
I don't have any updates. There was a lot of concern when the spotted lanternfly was peaking, and there was concern about that. It's a host, but it's not the only host. Spotted lanternfly has survived and take up shop in a lot of plants. There's a lot out there, and the mapping improved all across the state. My colleague Beth Myers-Shanai headed that up for our group. I haven't heard anything, Tracy, about them doing another iteration of it.
And I think Justy at BLM and myself were the ones that were reporting most of those. And of course, we're gonna fall pretty short of everything that's out there, including that corridor. Yeah, I noticed that it was definitely out there, and along the riverbank, it was pretty bad. By the fairgrounds, Maggie and I know that too, because we've looked at that.
Yeah, the state, we're trying to fund that, but
Not that they didn't wanna fund it, it's not very competitive because there's a lot of tree ahead. And it just didn't compete well with that. If there would have been enough funding to fund everything, it was a well-written proposal, and it was a good concept. So it wasn't that they didn't want to, it's just that we have a bigger problem.
It's not an AV.
We'd love to get that going again on iNaturalist and have some sort of incentive, I don't know what it would be, but it's kind of scavenger hunting, that's why I think it's fun to do. Some other people might find that fun too. So if there was like some sort of prize or something for number one, that'd be cool.
I know on the coast, they do a chainsaw raffle to get the foresters involved with
Let's do that.
for how many times you report iNaturalist, you get a ticket in the bowl and then they pick one ticket out, get the donated chainsaw.
And Tracy, I remember Scott, with the Oregon Department of Forestry, the urban
Right.
community, he really liked an idea around, citizen science and trying to get people to get that monitoring happening.
Right.
And maybe there's a way to highlight like urban impacts to infrastructure as well. Like the neighborhood I grew up in, my mom across from the Hannah complex now, like it ripped my mom's house in half, literally, like the foundation of the house.
I'm hearing more and more of that, so there might be, yeah, I'm thinking that there are other avenues for seeking funding, so we might have to look at that too.
I didn't mention in my report, the Oregon State Weed Board has grants that Soil and Water Conservation District applies for and others apply for. It got a little bit of a boost, another $250,000, which isn't a lot, but if you guys wanted to resubmit, you could. It's just there just weren't enough dollars.
Add that to a little incentive program. We'll have to spend a ton of money on a chainsaw, like.
Say that again, what kind of a program, you were talking kind of quietly amongst yourself. The program, if
Now you were
there's something
saying-
we could,
Now you were saying if they resubmit the grant proposal to the Oregon State Weed Board, they can add just that outreach component of the raffle for a chainsaw as an incentive to do
on iNaturalist, you were saying?
Yeah,
They-
that one's pretty easy to track,
Is that one of those challenges or something?
like a BioBlitz, but it would probably just be Tree of Heaven around Douglas County.
See,
I think that would be good.
the problem with the Tree of Heaven and a lot of these other things, you get blackberry, poison oak, which is obnoxious, not noxious, hawthorn. They make the area they're in unusable, uninhabitable. You can't walk through them. Tree of Heaven doesn't piss you off. It doesn't annoy you so much. I mean, where you walk through that, you're not all itchy the next day and you're not bleeding. Where the other ones, everybody knows what they are because, it's like a mosquito, you just don't like it. But the Tree of Heaven,
it's more subtle. It exudes something into the soil that makes it so only it can grow, and it creates mini forests that can be impenetrable.
If it splits your sidewalk and splits your foundation,
Yeah.
if it destroys your house,
well,
that's terrible.
well, I was seeing it around, and whether Winchester or whatever, it's just, it's like people planted it there or something, I don't know. But I actually didn't realize it was not considered a noxious, I'd see it here, there and everywhere, along the road right of ways, but that's where you drive and that's where you see it. If it's 100 feet off the road, you're not gonna see it. But I didn't realize it was considered noxious until I was kinda educated about it. And because it didn't,
So
it didn't annoy
may
me.
be a good time to be reminded about what the definition of a noxious weed is, and I can't really, I don't have that memorized, but it can just be monetary, it doesn't have to be, I'm thinking you might be thinking it's something that is toxic or harmful, but that's only one way that we look at it.
I
And
guess
this
I
one's
was,
expensive.
you go out and this had been me 2 years ago. You go up and ask the average Joe on the street, say, hey, what do you think about Tree of Heaven? And they go, what? I have no idea what you're talking about. And then you go up and say, well, what do you think about poison oak? They say, well, I hate it. Or blackberry. Oh yeah, I like to eat them, but I don't like it. I like it growing in your yard, not mine.
It hasn't reached that level here, because if you went on the East Coast and you talked to people in Pennsylvania, then they could tell you how bad it is and what it can do. If
Well,
it was at that level here, you would
We don't
It would be
wanna
on your,
get to that.
yeah, it would be on your top list.
I agree that ornamental trees are tough. People love their trees. Cutting down any tree is a tough ask, noxious or native. So yeah, it's and you don't get the bloodletting of the rash right away. It's more of a slow cracking that foundation, and you don't know until it's done its thing, or that sidewalk. And but yeah, it's kind of a, don't notice it, what it's doing until it's massive.
Or when you try to kill it, it multiplies.
And it multiplies, like it grows many
Hydra.
heads.
Hydrant.
There's one over by Sportman's warehouse, or not Sportman's, but Waldron's. And it's like, how are they even, you can find like the legacy trees, like the mothers, right? And you're like, okay, well there was like a hub or a population center point. And then they're finding their way like under pavement into islands of soil in just about every parking lot, downtown, all over the place. But it's wild how resilient that plant is. Its ability to find a niche is incredible.
Is it a relative newcomer around here? I'm talking last
No,
20 years or so?
It isn't, and it's funny you bring that up, because that was one of the things like Carrie was talking about. We had longer growing seasons, which I've also noticed. You know, the cycles have shifted with some things, not just, I mean, obviously not just weeds. We see this with rare plants and things like that too. It's like, when do you go see these things? It's shifted. But the thing that, it's just a theory. I found some literature to support this from the UK, because they've been dealing with this for a lot longer than we have here in the States. But they had a few years of real mild winters. And that was enough, because this is a tropical tree, to give the tree of heaven a foothold. You know, those small little seedlings that pop up are pretty tender. But once they've had 2 or 3 mild winters in a row, they have just built up enough resiliency to withstand that. And I think that's part of, or we can consider that, you know, it's like I said, it's just a guess, but I think that could be part of the reason why we're seeing more. And then the other that's pretty well documented is we've had those mother trees, those large trees around for a long time. And it takes a while, it takes several years, just like blackberry. It's been here for a long time, but we're noticing now that it's just those smaller populations are spreading further and further out. Hawthorn, same thing. It just takes some time for those things to spread. But I think, and Steve and I have talked about it too, I think there are multiple reasons. But with Tree of Heaven, I suspect that it had something to do with those mild winters to start with.
I think a more sinister name would help too.
It would.
Tree of hell.
In California, the introductions date back to when they brought Chinese labor in to build the railroads. And so it was brought with the laborers. And so wherever those camps were, that's where it started.
And that was medicinal use, why they brought that tree with them here to California. Now on the East Coast, they decided to spread it far and wide because it was great as a street tree. It survived everything.
Okay.
It was called the Tree of the City back there, and I grew up with it, I mean, a long time ago, around, used to play in them, so. Right, so did you wanna?
I do. I wanna say something, I don't want anybody to take it as a political thing, so I heard something yesterday. Most of you probably heard of Crossbow, and we sell a lot of it. It's maybe not the best product, but a supplier is looking at it to put their own name on it. And they were sending me a new label. Well, this affects possibly all Triclopyr products, which you all use. So in the label is a comment that you will now have to wear a particulate respirator, and it'll be for non-residential use. This could affect, you know, the Bassland, the Triclopyr 3, the Triclopyr, well, Garlon 3, Garlon 4. We don't know. The state of Oregon the Department of Ag has to look at this final label and year and year. But it could change. I sell a lot to the public, as I say, it's not the best product, but you know, they do work on some weeds. And it may also affect what you're doing, like I just sold some to Ryan. And this could happen next year. So
I didn't make the connection from Crossbow to Triclopyr.
Triclopyr is the active ingredient in Crossbow, or
I know.
one of them, and then in
Why is
Garland.
that label impacting all the other labels?
Any Triclopyr products is what they're talking about.
And why? What, I guess I don't understand, I missed something.
Anything with triclopyr in it may be now required to have a respirator and non-residential use, which most people don't. In your case, you're not using it.
Where was that decision made?
Pardon?
That was made at the company level or EPA?
I think EPA. I don't have clear information. It's a proposed label,
Oh, proposed labels.
proposed label, so
Okay.
keep
Someone
your ears open so
Someone
you,
at EPA, yeah, this happens a lot.
Yeah.
EPA is, okay, we're hoping that gets corrected, all the states, like,
yeah.
Yeah.
But don't get stuck with a bunch of product. Or if you know what I mean, and then all of a sudden you have a more restriction to use it. Respirators are good, don't misunderstand me, but yeah,
and we, the Course Action Group recommends Vaseline because it can be used in residential.
Yeah.
According to the current label, so that would be a huge change.
it would be, yeah. So it was just information for you to kind of keep your ear open, watch your label and.
Okay.
So
Anything
something
else?
a manufacturer was being pushed to change.
From what I
You got it from
understood,
the
I was only
manufacturer.
talking to the wholesaler locally, well, Medford, it was for Helena, so I know you look at the forestry products, but it's a corporate thing and who might make this product for them, crossbow, but the word was it might affect all triclopyr or Garlon products, Vaseline might. So.
Okay. We've had a long meeting, but I think it's been good. I appreciate everybody coming.
The date of the next meeting, do you guys have on
November the 20th,
November 20th?
third
Thursday.
Thursday in November. Thanks very much then. Nothing else, we'll just end the meeting.